dare you to knock it off. All right, if that rings a bell with you, let me know who it was and their most famous television role. If not, if you have no idea what that's about, then just slide by it. All right, I wanted to tell you today about this cool homemade cable machine that if you want a little project for yourself and you can weld and or work with metal, you wouldn't have to weld, you could bolt it together. But it's been something that I've really enjoyed. I like to keep fit. I like to have weights around, but I don't have a lot of space. I don't want to dedicate a lot of space to weight machines. And this only takes up about 3 square feet. You can mount it to any wall you want, and you can just do so much with it. You can do your tricep push downs. You can also put your lat pull bar on across here. I have a piece of carpet down here on the floor if I want to kneel on it. And I can do wide pull lat pulls, wide grip lat pulls. I can do rope pull downs. You can be below the machine, or if the car was out of the way, I could be back this way. It's incredibly versatile. I can do my ab crunches with the rope. So you've got all your pulling, upper body pulling type stuff you can do. It's plenty sturdy to put a couple of plates on. I've had a couple of 45s on this before, and I've never had any problem with it. Also, because it has a cable down here at the bottom, you can do any kind of curls you want this way. You can do your bent over lat pulls, all in just a few square feet. You can also hook D-rings up to it if you want to do single exercises. You can have D-rings hooked up to it. I used to have 2 of these in a bay, a storage bay, so that I could do, bilateral. Would that be the correct term? But I could do pull-over crossovers, which are really great for the chest, really good for the back. I could grab a D-ring here and a D-ring here and pull across. I used to have 30 pounds of extra mass on me, which was quite a difference. But that was 15, 20 years ago when I was a young guy. Now I'm an old guy. But I still like to keep in shape, and this has been a really cool tool for me, so I wanted to point out a couple of things. Now, one really neat thing about this too is come here and check out the carriage, the weight carriage. This is just a piece of 2-inch receiver. It's what you'd have on a trailer hitch. But because this pulls from the center of the crossbar, it pretty much hangs free. There's very little resistance as this thing moves up this 2-inch box tubing. It's really just hanging free in space. This is just merely a guide. So this is one critical thing you want to make sure if you build one of these, that you have this eye bolt going directly through the center of where you mount the weights. And again, you can put large hole plates on it, or you can put small hole plates on it, piece of cake. But it really works well. It's got a really good feel to it through these pulleys up here. And these are just pulleys you can get from a hardware store, welded in place. Another thing you want to be careful of is this dimension here. You want the distance from the machine to this cable to be the same as it is down here at the eye bolt, so that you're pulling straight all the way up. Every once in a while I wipe this down with some WD-40 or tough oil or something like that, but you can see that there's not even any wear pattern on the box tubing. This thing just works so nice and easy that it's a very unrestricted pull, which is nice. It works a lot better than some cable machines I've used where you can tell that the leverage is just so weird that you can feel the weight coming over the cam and the resistance changes. Another thing I like about this so much is that the pulleys on the bottom and the top are connected with chain, so that if my angle changes, the pulley changes with me as well, which is a nice feature. And then it just flops out of the way when it's not being used. But I can do my curls back here at this angle, or I can be directly over the weight, and that makes a big difference from time to time as well. If I want to put a stop block down here and sit down and do rows with the D-rings hooked here, I can do that as well. All right, so all of this is homemade, even my cables. I'll show you how to do that in a second as well. Take a look at this, get close up here. This is my rope pull. Made that, put this piece of rope through the pipe, gave it a good squish with a sledgehammer, and then welded my clip to it. All this you can get from the hardware store. These cable deals here, I think it's a ferrule, and then a cable lock that I crimped as well with a machine I have here at home. It's a bolt cutter with some curves cut out of the cutting jaws. Also had a chain sticking out up here at one time for to hang a heavy bag from. So it works nicely to hold a heavy bag if you want to do some punching on that. And or you've got all sorts of great exercises. I love working with cables from time to time. I like free weights as well. But having a small little out-of-the-way cable machine like this for those really nice tricep extensions you can do with the rope, and or you can put the rope down here. Rope curls versus straight arm curls. You could put the straight bar up here, so your tricep extensions are with a bar instead of a rope. But nothing beats a really nice rope tricep extension. Really get those triceps out super tight in the back. All right, so I'll have some dimensions for you. Another really critical thing is there's a bolt under this part of the machine down on the ground that you probably won't be able to see, but I put that in there so I could put some resistance here. I can back that bolt out. It's like a little leveling foot so that I can make sure, you know, if my floor isn't exactly level, I can always make sure I've got support here under this leg. So I just drilled a hole and threaded it, tapped it. It's probably a 5/16 bolt or something. And then I can always make sure that's backed out, locked in place so that the whole thing is super sturdy. But doesn't cost a whole lot to make. Fun project. Works great. The other one I had, I sold to somebody. I don't know why I just don't mass produce this. You could ship it in a 4-foot box, probably bolt it together. Anybody could have their own little home gym cable machine. Be great. All right, so I'll come back later with some more deets. So 2-inch box tubing, and of course you have bolts to secure it to the wall. This is 1/4-inch strap or plate steel, just some scrap. But this is 2-inch tubing, 24 inches long. Here's this little 5/16 bolt that's just tapped into the bottom. The cable or the pulley at the bottom can be either fixed, or if you want it to float, you can get the other type of cable. I'll show you the difference again. Floating's not too big a deal unless you have 2 of these and you're doing some crossover work, because typically you're right in front of the machine and your angle of pull is straight anyway. So this would be a lot easier. The larger pulley you can get, the smoother the operation will be, but you'll also start to get a benefit in leverage. If your pulley's too big, you're really going to have to load the thing up to get some kind of good resistance. Now, this is a 3-inch stop that's just welded here, and I did that so that I have room enough to hang 45-pound plates off the pipe, and I needed that clearance, so a 45-pound weight would hang up there. And it's a good idea, but you could have this run all the way down to the bottom if you wanted. But if you're somebody that wants to hang 45s from this guy, you'll want to make sure to include that guy right there. It's like a 3-inch block. It's for an axle support or something. I don't remember even what it is, but it's about 3 inches. Would do you fine. And it lets that receiver sit down on something solid. 2-inch receiver, 1-inch steel pipe. This steel pipe's 18 inches long. You could also do 16 or 14, totally up to you. The length of that is totally up to you. If you're not going to be sticking 10 5-pound plates on it all side by side, you'll be fine with whatever, but it can just be straight right there. Eye bolt right there, threaded right down through the center, and with a nut on the bottom. It's threaded, and there's a nut in there for maximum strength. And then 2-inch tubing all the way up. It's 84 inches from the inside tube is 84 from bottom to top, so the interior dimension right here, 84 inches or 7 feet. I am 5'10", and this works perfect for me. If you are somebody that's 6'4", I would add, 6 inches to that. So I'd make this 90. As it is, all the exercises work really well for me, and I'm 5'10", and these are the dimensions I worked with. Now the top is very much just like the bottom. 2 identical pieces, 24 inches of box tubing. Again, with 2 pulleys, this dimension here between the pulley and the upright should match the distance between the eye bolt and the upright so that your pull is straight. And like I showed you, this thing just hangs so beautifully in space. I probably got lucky. I did try to think about it, but I think I got lucky as well because there's no wear on the upright at all. This thing literally just hangs beautifully. So there's no weird resistance. All you're feeling is weight when you use this machine. And then we have 2 pulleys on top. On mine, this one is floating, but you might as well just have it fixed like this other pulley right here. It's a ton easier. You can pull those pins and put some lubricant in there every once in a while. This one's hanging from a chain, drilled through the top, cut a slot, and put some chain on that bolt so that this pulley could be free, which is kind of nice. But sometimes I wish it was just fixed. All right, and then that's it. From end to end on your cable, you want 88 to 90 inches, and that again is for me. If you were taller and your machine is of a different dimensions, then you would want something longer. But you have to put those things together yourself anyway, so you could get some extra cable and just cut off the extra. All right, and so let's take a look at these crimps. So this stuff, again, you can buy all this from a hardware store. Just standard poly-coated cable. And then you buy the ferrule for the loop. You loop it around, put it through this crimp, and then you could just smash it with a hammer, but anybody knows me knows I wouldn't just be smashing stuff with a hammer. So, bolt cutters with just a little bit taken out on each side of the jaws, and you put your deal in there, your crimp in there, and then you give it a good squeeze with your bolt cutters in 2 places, and you have a professional looking crimp that will not fail. I've noticed that even with, because I did use a hammer on 1 or 2, that the smashed ones will fail before this one does. This does a really nice job, and it's done right. All right. So that's the cable machine. It just works out really great. If you need a project for these COVID days and want something to do, give it a shot. You now have everything you need to put one of these things together and start getting yourself in shape for 2021, which we all hope is going to be hugely better than 2020. All right, Old Guy Jamming is out. Everybody take care. See you on the rebound.